Coming up on the Merge Out Loud, Super Chick is in the Merge Studios with Tower. Stay tuned.
Hey, welcome to Merge Out Loud. I'm Tower here at the Merge Studios with a band that I've got really a ton of history with, Superchick. Matt, it's funny, you and I met at a coffee shop 9 years ago. It has been almost a decade. Neither one of us have a real job, which I think we can kind of take as success.
Exactly,
here, right?
exactly.
So you and I met at this little coffee shop. I literally had just moved to Chicago. I'd gotten on the radio up here. You were in a garage band, and I'm not even sure if you guys officially had a record deal yet, right?
Yeah, it was definitely getting close. I think, when I look back at those times, those are the best of times.
And the worst.
Those were the worst of times.
Because you had no money.
That's right. We still don't have money.
Yeah.
It's just a little, shows are a little just bigger.
But at least you're not like trying to play
moments of
music
having
and
money and then
yeah.
Yeah.
You're not trying to play music and balance like your junior college study.
Exactly. Oh, we've been there. Thank you, South Suburban Community College, for your amazing education.
Yes.
So you guys started as a garage band, kind of a compilation of different people from Chicago and Indiana. Tell me just kind of where that began of like, this is going to be a real thing. Because you were a kid, like a ton of kids growing up in church, played bass, you were a musician, you were a singer. Most of people like that, most of us don't go on to like be like, okay, skip college, I'm going to go for this.
Yeah, except for, everyone on American Idol.
That's right. They work out.
They get that
pretty
chance.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, which I love, by the way. I love American Idol. I do. It's TiVoing while I'm gone. We actually, there was a band called Church of Rhythm, and two of the members of that, Max and Dave, had this kind of vision to start up a girl band. And they even were like, let's call it Super Chick. Let's find all girls and have this like really amazing like all girl and girlfriended group that talks about issues and is like out there like meeting mostly girls was kind of their idea, that this ministry would be for girls and to talk about like the issues that you deal with as a teenager growing up and insecurities and pressures. And so they kind of had this vision and even started writing a little bit. And my sister and I went to a festival at Kings Island in Cincinnati, Ohio, and Church of Rhythm played before the Newsboys. We met them really randomly. They said, hey, do you know any girls who would want to be in a band? Because we have this idea. We want to start one. We want to start auditioning. And we were like, well, we sing, but we don't really want to be in a band. It's not really what I thought I was going to do. And I planned to kind of go to college the next year, study nursing. And it's one of those things though that it sticks in your head once it happens and you're kind of like, I have this burden for girls. Like, what a cool opportunity. I mean, we grew up singing. Maybe there's a reason that we met them. And so we came up 6 months later to just kind of sing a demo of their first song they wrote. And from there it became, let's try this. Let's see what happens. And Matt was friends of friends. And so he and his brother played bass and drums.
And really, like, the odds are so much against something like this actually happening, that you're actually reaching an audience and being able to pull this off, and it actually did for you guys.
Yeah.
I want to go into the video here for We Live. Can we call this pretty much your biggest song to date?
I mean, it's definitely one of them. I think.
I think, next to Stand in the Rain might have been the number1 single.
Yeah.
But
I just remember being at a festival with you guys, and if you remember, we were in Quincy, Illinois. The power goes out. There's like a lightning storm. People are running, and you think the festival's done, and then I think it was actually the two of you just go to the front of the stage, like because it cuts out mid-song, and you just go into this, and thousands of people just carry the song, even though the band can't do it anymore.
Yeah, it's been cool. I think it was the first song that kind of made parents connect with us, not just their kids, and it was like in concert, when we do We Live, that's the moment when like all the adults who are just hanging out, just kind of like escorting the children and making sure everything's good, like they're like, oh, and they come up and they sing. And
so it's one of those songs that really just hits home like across,
connected,
a lot of different age groups. Just tell me real quick where this came from so we can go in the video.
Yeah, well, the idea was, a friend of ours was told he had cancer and didn't have long to live, and he started making calls and doing things on his bucket list because he was like, literally, they were like, it's so far along, maybe 2 weeks or something. And so he started doing all these things, making things right, calling people, I'm sorry I was a jerk to you. Hey, I want you to know I love you. And doing all those things that, we don't do with an urgency because most of us think we've got whatever time. We can't imagine that, that finality of death is anytime soon. And
so the song really came out of just like urgency. You have no idea
like,
how much time you got
live
left.
today like there is no tomorrow because you don't know. And he survived the cancer and said that was the most amazing time of his life.
Wow. Hanging out with Superchick right now. The Merge Out Loud. The video is We Live. Check it out. Hey, coming up, more with Superchick. We're going to talk about the band's trip to Uganda, as well as their unique outreach as a band. It's coming up on the Merge Out Loud. It's the Merge Out Loud with Superchick right now. Pretty cool thing. You guys were recently in Uganda with an organization called Compassion International, and just a month ago, I was actually in Mexico. And so you come back from those trips just like, I know, really, really shaken up. But as a band, kind of like, what kind of led you to take on something like that? And what did you think about coming back? Because I know that I came back and it's like I got a Subway afterwards and I ordered in Spanish because I'm still in that much of a culture shock. And then I just get like the stare of like, are you a 6'6" white guy that's speaking to me in Spanish?
Yeah.
Well, I actually, before Superchick, even kind of did missions for a year. And so I've been to China and Mexico and done some outreaches. And when we started working with Compassion, obviously we believe in what they do. And it makes like our tours, knowing that maybe 5 kids are sponsored one night, just gives sort of this like purpose even more to what we do too. And so partnering with someone like them and knowing the millions of kids who have food and water and are hearing about Jesus makes it kind of amazing, knowing like every night that there's something bigger than us and bigger than this audience. And I think, from seeing people I know who sponsor and stuff, like for you, it changes you so much. So like knowing like a family sponsors a child together, like knowing that like we're all learning to reach out of our comfort zone and think that in China you can change a kid's life, in Africa you can. Uganda to me was, my sister had already been to Uganda once and she left her heart there. She just loves it. And so when I got the chance to go with her, it was a cool thing for us to do together. It was heart-wrenching. And, I think the hard thing is that it's not easy. It's not an easy country to go to. It was even at times, it's scary. The cops carry machine guns. It just feels like, it's a different environment. The kids, though, are just beautiful. The people are giving and loving. They would give you whatever they had, which is not much. And probably the most heart-wrenching part was we got to go to the biggest AIDS clinic in Uganda and meet some of the doctors and nurses, who most of them were Americans. They've gone there and they're just giving their life, probably making less than they could working at a hospital here. And there were from babies up to adults that go to this clinic and are being treated but are surviving because of it. And so so many people that are giving their lives to make a difference. And so there's hope. And that's the hardest thing, is it's a hopeless place, but you leave knowing that every little thing you do does make a difference.
Kind of turning back to what you guys do back here, I think it's really unique. You're actually the first woman we've ever had on the show. And so just kind of girls in rock music, sadly doesn't happen a ton. And I know that one of the things I've loved about this band, one of the reasons that I've been like a fan and not just a friend of you guys, is because like you've never pulled any punches. Like, hey, we're just gonna pretend to be a happy band. Like whatever's going on, that's gonna be a song. Tell me just kind of, as far as when you guys interact with fans and that type of thing, what kind of issues are you hearing back? What kind of songs are you writing right now?
Well, I think, man, it's tough because kids are it's just hard to be a teenager these days. I think you're so, you see celebrities every single time they buy something new, you see it, you want so much more, you think you deserve so much more. And more so than ever, you're sitting in a small town somewhere or sitting in a suburb going, I will never get out of this, and I don't have a purpose. I am not this cool. These dreams and aspirations that I have will never come true. And that's one of the things that as Superchick we've always, still more than ever, to let kids know that they do have a purpose. And it's tough, man. It's just tough with all the pressures that are there, just trying to be popular, trying to be cool, trying to be accepted. But the thing that's kind of cool as well is that kids also are standing up for things. And it's cool to be an outcast. It's cool to stand up and be different. And I think more so even than when I was in high school, where you can be a Christian and people are like, oh, it's cool, like you have your own platform to stand on. And so in some aspects, it's encouraging to see kids actually, really step up and say, I'm a Christian, I am different, and this is what I do.
Yeah, and that's one thing I think that's unique about like the last 5 to 10 years. Is you think like Tom's Shoes, To Write Love on Our Arms, Invisible Children, where you see kids that are like 15 to 21 being like, you know what? Like I've actually got a shot at doing something.
Totally.
And that's really what part of the brand of the band is, really like go out there and do something with your life.
Yeah, to find your purpose. And that's been what's interesting, is that was our heart 12 years ago, and it feels like it still applies, and every crowd we play in front of, there's adults to the kids, broken people that feel no purpose, people that feel not good enough, and just that little bit of inspiration, encouragement, saying that, no, you're born with a purpose, and each one of us is here for a reason, and that we make a difference every little thing we do, every moment that we choose to do the right thing and stand up for what's right.
Hanging out with Superchick on the Merge Out Loud. Coming up, more with the band, as well as the video for Cross the Line, where they actually fly in the music video. It's next. It's the Merge Out Loud. We're with Superchick right now. My name's Tower. Okay, one of the most popular things on cable TV these days is like the show where they go in and they take an old house and they make it like really cool. You guys have basically done the music version of that, where studio time is actually like crazy expensive for a band. And so you decided, you know what, we're gonna save money. We're gonna go in and we're gonna build it ourselves, kind of like the cable shows in the old houses. Yes. So, like, what's that kind of look like as a band to basically take on a construction project? Yeah.
Well, that's kind of been our thing for years. We've always done everything ourselves, from doing the records, doing the photos, and then doing videos. But Max bought a new house that is, it's almost like the Fantasy Factory. It's like this crazy 6,000 square foot. Like Frankenstein of a house in a real small neighborhood, and it's just fun to be able to have enough space to be able to do photo shoots, to literally create a legitimate studio space like never before. And it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of work on the table saw. I still have all my fingers, and but it's beautiful. I think this is the first time too that our studio has windows and it's light. Yeah. So usually it was like the first 4 records were in a basement.
Depressing.
Where like Max, specifically one time Max stepped outside, came back in and goes, "That's the first time I've seen sunlight in 4 days," like legitimately. Yeah. And so now it's just a cool space to create. We got the doors open, and it's fun to know that we built this and it sounds awesome, and we do it ourselves, and you can do that. And again, it's an inspiration to others.
And people think as soon as you get a record deal that like you don't ever have to worry about anything. And really, when you're a band, you're still on a really tight budget to make this thing work.
That's when worrying really begins. I think that's the myth. You're like, oh, once you get signed, and then once you get signed, you're like, oh, like I have expectations.
Well, yeah, even if your record label offers to pay for a huge studio, like that's money that you will pay them back,
exactly.
And that's not in your pocket. So we've just tried to always be smart, and we save when we can.
So you guys are moving in kind of your new home here as a band. I know that this is definitely a season where it feels like there's a lot of songs being born, right? Mm-hmm. Can you tell me kind of where some of those have been coming from just in your lives?
Yeah, I mean, I think that as it's shaping, it always ends up being personal at this point in our lives, and that's probably because we're 5 adults with some of us spouses and, struggles all around us. But I think that it always keeps going back to, like, whatever God's teaching us, and sometimes that's just that day. Like, it's just in talking to each other, like, this is this idea that came out of me, and I like this lyric. What can we do with this? And it ends up being really personal, because for us, those are the songs that have connected with people. So, in the last few years, it's been like, there's really great moments, like God blesses, but then there's been still a lot of struggles. And sometimes, it's not just raining. Sometimes it's like a torrential downpour, and so there's been struggles still in the last few years. And like you said, we always try to be honest about that. With God, there's blessings and life to the full, but it doesn't mean that there's not attack, and that tough things don't happen and you struggle through it.
And it's so weird because, I've written for magazines and been a writer in addition to doing TV and radio for years. And it's like the strange thing is the hardest times of my life. I'll look back at like the magazine articles I published in, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that really did become something.
Yeah, I think that's when like really beautiful art comes out, and really like, I guess that honest place of brokenness. And I feel like for me that God just has wanted to keep me there, and because I think we do live in a broken world, we always have, but I feel like there's an atmosphere even more now of just kind of heaviness, and people all over are struggling through financially and struggling with health problems. How many people do I know with cancer right now? things that aren't easy and heavy things to talk about, but God like wants us to be able to connect and see His heart for them.
The flip side is you guys take some stuff that's really sometimes very heavy, and you turn it into something that's a lot of fun live and actually in the video. I've known you guys for almost a decade. We've been friends. I'm pretty sure you don't have superpowers. So the video for Cross the Line, let's talk about what's going on here, because like not even gymnasts in the Olympics are doing the flips that you're doing in these videos.
Well,
No.
like Max had this idea. I mean, it's for years to start doing some matrix wire work, and because he was like, well, we need to shoot a video. We have no budget. Let's learn how to do it ourselves. So we just literally researched a bunch of pulley systems on the internet. Went to REI or whatever, got a bunch of harnesses and climbing gear, and there's like special wire or whatever that he had to buy. But yeah, we set it up in the church I go to in Nashville in the gym and just learned how to fly. And then later he frame by frame edited out all the wires. So it was an amazing experience. My back still hurts.
It was really glamorous. I took gymnastics and I like that stuff and I'm not afraid of heights, unlike my sister. But like for me, it was like, the learning process was like flip and then flip her back over. So by the end of like an hour, I was like, it wasn't easy but I actually really loved it. It was fun.
The video is called Cross the Line from Superchick. We're going to go ahead and check it out right now. This one's a lot of fun. By the way, kids, you can't do this with stuff from REI. Don't try it.
That's right.
They're semi-professionals.
That's right. Exactly. But we did do it ourselves. That is all us.
But you can eventually do it.
Who's running the camera then? One of your friends?
Max.
Oh,
Max.
and he's in the video too.
Yeah. It's magic.
That kind of blows my mind. Check this out. It's definitely a do-it-yourself project. It's Cross the Line from Superchick on the Merge Out Loud. Hey, coming up next, more with Superchick, as well as the band's first side projects finally revealed. That's next on the Merge Out Loud. Welcome back to the Merge Out Loud. My name's Tower with Superchick right now. I want to talk about just really the strong sense of calling that's on this band, which for 9 years is what's basically kept you guys together, friends, not quitting, keep writing new songs, keep going out there on the road, right? How would you sum that up, like what this band is called to?
I mean, we talked a bit about it before, but God has a purpose for your life, period. I think it's so easy to sit around and say, God can't use me, but He uses insignificant people always. If you read the Bible at all, I mean, you look at Gideon, who was afraid of the Israelites, and God called him to, start an army and start wreaking some havoc for the kingdom. And God uses literally insignificant people every single day. So if God's giving you passion, I would just encourage you to just go after it with all your heart. Like if it's art, if it's guitar, if it's speaking, if it's teaching, whatever God has for you, do it with all your heart and don't let anybody tell you different. And you'll get good at it, and people will pay you eventually for what you do. And just don't settle for mediocrity.
I was just talking to a girlfriend the other day, and she does a lot of missions. She lives overseas most of her life, and we were talking about how so much in what we both do, we feel like we see ourselves almost mentally as warriors, that like we really are in a battle, and it's not against people, it's for people, for souls, and for people that, God loves and that don't know Him yet. But the battle is like we're on the front lines, and everything you do every day, what you do, the people that you reach and the people that we meet, and here on the road or when we're home in the grocery store, like there's a battle happening, and there's people with like that need to feel love and need something positive and encouraging in their life, and each one of us we're little warriors making a difference for good, and being God's hands and feet in every little area of the world that He needs us, and each one of us have different strengths, and that's why, because He needs us in different spots and in different careers, and as a janitor and as a teacher and whatever it is you do. And so we really all can make a difference, and we are, and we're in this battle together.
Really cool thing that's kind of going on when you're talking about what you're called to. Tricia, you're actually stepping out and doing your first solo record. So you guys are doing new Superchick stuff right now, which is going to be out a little later. And you've actually got a worship project coming out, right? Which is a pretty different sound, pretty different genre than what you've done before. Just kind of where did this come from? When was the first time you woke up and you're like, you know what, I need to go to a one-off?
Right. Well, actually, most of my life I've loved worship, and I started in high school leading worship, and that was kind of the first time I sort of sang and felt this kind of empowerment in that, and kind of almost felt like leading people into worship is what I'm called to do, and I feel like I do that in Super Chick, but it's maybe just not called worship music, but I feel us doing that in concert every night. And so for me, my husband's a producer. I have a studio in my house, and so a year ago we decided we really don't have an excuse not to do this. And I went to my record label and said, do you want to partner with me in this? And they loved the idea. So my first project to release is a worship album. And I've written with my husband and other writers, and half are originals, half are other people's songs that we've found, but most haven't been covered yet. So it's going to be new stuff, new songs, and it's totally different than Super Chick, and it's all my heart. It's this road that I'm traveling on the last few years, and it's called The Road, and it releases June 7th.
We're almost out of time, but you guys get along so well as a band. Like, some bands just sort of tolerate each other. The whole Super Chick crew is really close. Just to wrap up here, like, how does that work? Do you guys have like band rules of like, okay, don't do this because it annoys everybody?
Well, no, I think the first 2 years, it's exciting. Like, oh, these are new people, these are new friends. And then there's 2 years of you hating each other because all of a sudden you realize, like, wait a minute, this annoys me. And then after that, once you get over that hump, you kind of realize, like, oh, like, Matt's just crabby. Like, he's not just mad at me, he's mad at the whole world. It makes the whole thing a little bit easier. So you kind of learn what roles people play, let them sit in it, and you just have to get over that hump, and most bands break up and get in a fight.
You do try. Like, you know the things that annoy each other, and some things will never change. You learn to let it go and just be more chill and relaxed. And then you do try to be sensitive to, like, I know that when I sing Disney songs, it annoys the boys.
So no Disney songs. That's actually...
You try to avoid. It's a good rule for every girl to remember that boys are annoyed by Disney songs.
That's the perfect note to wrap the show up on.
Okay.
Matt and Tricia from Super Chick, it's been awesome. You guys have been friends for a long time, so thanks for being here.
Thank you.
This is the Merge Out Loud.